So, a few weeks ago, there was all this talk on Twitter with one of the developers from Massive saying he was given a challenge to see when a developer ever lied to the community or the audience, and he was asking people to provide examples. Now, this community conversation or whatever it was, I don't think it really ended well. I think it was kind of a poor choice of framing an argument, if you were to ask me. I like Frederick Thailander, but, I gotta say, I don't know him personally, but I do like the fact that he's brought a lot of work to the Division franchise. But I have to say that was just kind of a rookie move in that sense, because I think there's just a lot more that we can actually point to that we never necessarily even discussed in that entire conversation. Now, I want to show some instances where there were clearly false impressions given for Tom Clancy's The Division, but in the same sense, I also want to say, is it possible somewhere down the road here that we can actually get so-called what was made and used to provide an impression of what they actually did want for The Division as a game? So E3 2013 and I think 2014, there are a lot of Division developer showcases. One was even done on a big stage with Microsoft and the Xbox presentation and all of that good stuff. And the developers actually brought The Division, where they had like this one mission that they wanted to do, and they talked about this mission being, something that they were going to join into. So you actually had somebody from Massive Ubisoft join a live mission with people on stage and actually played a sequence from the game using the beautiful, well-polished graphics, probably rendered on some high-end PC somewhere, and was showing off this stuff. Now, I think that could have also been something being played on the Xbox, and I'll explain that later. And then there was also another presentation where another developer from the studio was also playing this thing using a controller. Now, here's something really interesting. When the developers hold the controller, I think we should now resign our minds to saying we don't believe it. Because remember, the Cyberpunk reveal, the developer, or in a sense, closed reveal to the press, it was a developer that was holding that controller. So devs, if you really want people to believe you, do not hold the controller. Give the controller to some random person that you can find in the audience. Be like, hey, you, come play this. And I think people will probably believe you more. But once y'all are holding that controller, I don't think we're going to believe you anymore. Y'all done ruined it for yourselves. Now, I get it. We did not get this particular game, and people were looking at The Division thinking it was probably going to be this thing that they saw being played in these presentations. They also thought it was going to be this wonderful graphic-filled experience that was in this grim New York, only to find out that what they got was not that. The Division came out on the Xbox One and the PS4 and on PC looking like a whole different game, if you were to ask me, with everything you saw compared to the game itself. Now, why would I say that it was possible that they were actually, playing this game on an Xbox console? Now, I believe that what they were doing while controlling the game was actually playing a version of The Division, but not the version that we got, because that version that they were playing, in my opinion, looked very much like a working prototype. I think they got a working prototype together, they polished it up, and they presented it to, whoever wanted to take a look at it, and started to showcase it to audiences and create impressions and gain feedback and see reactions. I think that's what they were doing with that. This was in the good old days, the days of the dark ages, where video game companies, especially Ubisoft, will come out with all of this good looking stuff and then eventually downgrade the game. In fact, remember Rainbow Six Siege? They had this wonderful trailer and this wonderful gameplay sequence where he's like, oh yeah, let's go into the building, breach. And then when you got Rainbow Six, you were like, what is this, CSGO? Sorry, I had to throw that in there. And so that's pretty much the time and the era that we were in. Now, when you go and even look at the comments, a lot of people are even laughing, saying, can you imagine that Ubisoft was actually thinking multiple generations ahead and yet had no shame to even find a way to release the game on this console generation or the past console generation, PS4 and Xbox One? Now, to be very honest, I'm glad they actually released something of a game, but another thing too was somebody like me, I didn't even see these 2013, 2014 trailers. In fact, when I look at the date stamp of this video on YouTube, it's June of 2013. This was a month where I was trying to hustle, very, very tough time in my life, and so many things were changing. I didn't even know what a video game was. I mean, I didn't even care what video games were at that time, because that season was just really tough. So maybe people were watching this E3 trailer. I didn't even have the convenience for that. I think my car had just broken down. I had to take it to a scrapyard because to fix it was so expensive. I didn't even have money. So tell me about your problems with some graphics game, if you get what I mean. But now it's all different. I'm in the gaming space and you guys are here teaching me stuff. And I thought it would be smart to actually ask a question that one of my audience members actually asked. And he said, I would like for us to get a Division 1 remaster. And I thought, you know what, that's actually a very interesting request. So I started digging back into what the Division looked like and looking at even the graphics from the Division 2, because this audience member of mine actually referenced that we do have the quality of what it would take to actually bring a Division 1 that even looks better than this thing that they showed at the E3s and reveals of 2013 and 2014. Because if you look at Division 2 right now, maybe you're playing it on a PS5, maybe you're playing it on an Xbox Series S or X, or you're playing it on PC, you'll see that this game actually has a very similar quality to that first working prototype that you got from the Division 1 in the days of the false impression, in my mind is what I'm going to call it, the days of the false impression, basically a lie, if you were to ask me. I mean, that's just what it is. I just call it what it is, but the thing is, they lied in a sense, but I'm asking in this video, well, y'all lied then, but is it possible that we can just get a remaster for the Division 1? Because I really strongly think that the community will enjoy this. I think a lot of people are going to play the Division 1 if they remastered it. A whole lot of people are going to play it. And it may sound crazy that a remaster of a game like that is going to be something that, they bring in, something that comes out. And it sounds insane, too, that a community will even want to engage it. Now, let's go back and look at some other games that do have the similar systems that the Division did have that are going to be getting remasters. One of them in this instance that I'm going to give is Diablo. Diablo 2 right now is probably getting a remaster, come out very soon. I don't even really know. I think it's called Diablo 2 Resurrected. And, it's something that a lot of people have been really interested in and talking about. Basically they're talking about the online side of things and how they're changing the animations, changing a whole lot of stuff. I strongly think that, the Division can actually get a remaster that really does work and changes a whole lot of the weak aspects of that game in terms of presentation. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still a good looking game on PC. If you play it on PC right now, even on your Xbox Series S and Series X, where they've removed the frame rate cap, it's actually quite solid. But what if we get a version that actually does take a spin on things? A version where when you load it up, you say, well, this has some Division 1 vibes, but it's not necessarily the same thing that I played. Maybe you have, LeRae Barrett, all of these iconic characters, but then now you have them somewhat in a weird alternate, setting, something that's already kind of like, maybe I'll say changed up a little bit, and just some really interesting, fun mechanics that really were in that previous game. I think that will be something that the developers can look into and actually do, because, it will really be an homage to the community to say, hey, at the time we were dreaming about this game, this is what we wanted to give you. But at the same time, there's no way that our consoles could take on the scale of that game, and that quality. And I think that's exactly what it was. There was no way a PlayStation 4 was going to play that thing. An Xbox One, yeah, but I don't think a PlayStation 4, and I'm not saying this just to be making fun of PlayStations. I have a PS5 and a PS4 and a PS3, but I don't think PlayStations would have been able to play because the machines then were just not good. But now, today's day and age, where your PS5 can play at the same quality of a PC, there is no excuse to not remaster a Division game, especially if you're going to remaster it and keep it on the next gen side of things, giving it all of that snowdrop, giving it all of the, I would say, prowess that you can give a new generation game and actually have it be something that people accept in the community. So to my audience member, and I don't want to mention your name, I would, but I don't know if you want the attention. I will have to say that that was a very, very solid idea. And I think Massive needs to consider it at any rate, even if they don't even do a full remaster, maybe something that's, I don't know, maybe a single player line or something that is set in that world, in that atmosphere, or something that really does, showcase the power of what their engine is capable of doing now that we have the hardware to do it. But again, I just wanted to make sure I just, put this video out there. It was just interesting to see all of this stuff that was shown previously before this game was released. And now I understand even much more why they brought gameplay of The Division 2 to E3. So that way they were just like, we're not BSing anybody unlike the way we did before. And then they gave the controllers to the gamers. And it was not just necessarily random gamers. It was gamers that we had in the community, people who had been covering the games as well. But let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, folks. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.